Welcome back. New documents obtained by Fox 32 show Governor Pritzker's office was warned by Chicago officials that a pension bill could hurt the city's finances big time. Last month, the governor signed the Tier 2 police and fire bill that will wind up costing an estimated $11 billion over the next 30 years in Chicago. He says the mayor never asked him to veto it, but internal documents we've obtained show the governor's office was warned by high-level city officials that the bill could devastate the city's finances and those police and fire pensions. Pritzker quietly signed the Tier 2 pension bill into law in early August, explaining that he never heard opposition from the mayor.
The mayor never once called me, or as far as I know, any legislators, to oppose that bill or to ask for any changes in that bill.
But an internal memo we obtained dated July 8 shows the mayor's chief financial officer, Jill Jaworski, warning top Pritzker aide Andy Minar that the legislation could cost $11 billion over the next 30 years without any way for the city to pay for it. It also says the police and fire pension funds would fall below 20% funding, making them, quote, technically insolvent. Another email dated July 28th reveals an oopsie. The memo never sent. But Minar received it 5 days before the governor signed. Fiscal watchdog Austin Berg of the libertarian-leaning Illinois Policy Institute says it reveals a failure on both the city and state's part to look out for Chicago taxpayers.
Springfield is definitely not blameless in this, but you would think for a bill that has this big of an effect on only Chicago, that the mayor and the CFO would have been on the phone every day talking to state representatives, state senators, all the members of the governor's staff. And instead, they were totally missing in action.
The sponsor of the bill is Northwest Side State Senator Robert Martwick. He said it was necessary to give newer hires in the Chicago Police and Fire Departments the same benefits as their counterparts across the state.
What we did was we provided the same benefit parity to the same Tier 2 fix for Chicago Police and Fire that was granted 6 years prior to every other police and firefighter in the state of Illinois.
Martwick says it was also necessary to satisfy what's called the Safe Harbor Rule, an IRS mandate that government employees have retirement benefits equal to or greater than Social Security. Berg says that's not an acceptable reason to burden Chicago taxpayers with $11 billion in new obligations.
That is a total red herring to say that this has anything to do with Safe Harbor, and the city knows that, and they should have been more vocal in saying that.
Martwick says he understands the financial ramifications.
So the problems that have been created over decades of underfunding from administrations past are there. Passing the law doesn't make them any more insolvent. It just makes the insolvency more apparent and more readily accessible.
And the mayor's office responded with a statement saying, quote, the email referenced corroborates what we said all along, that both the legislators and the governor's office were aware of our concerns. We raised these concerns both publicly while testifying on the potential impact of this bill and privately. We respect that they saw the issue differently. The mayor has repeatedly called for the state to pass progressive revenue options that would help Chicago out of this fiscal mess, as that statement goes on to allude. Now, today marks the 2-year anniversary since the much-debated pre-trial fairness provision went into place across the state. Supporters heralded the elimination of cash bail as a fair approach to pre-trial detention. Opponents say it would release dangerous criminals back on the street to commit more crimes. 2 years later, have any of those scenarios played out? We're joined by Democratic State Senator L.G. Sims from Chicago, who sponsored the act, and Republican State Senator John Curran from Lamont. Thank you, guys. Senator Sims, I'll start with you. What has been the impact after 2 years?
Well, we're seeing, Parris, and thanks for having me. We're seeing that what we thought was going to happen is actually happening. As we reinvest or reimagine public safety and make the investments necessary, you're seeing that their crime is trending downward. Now, one crime is too many, but you're seeing that dangerous individuals are being held in custody. You're seeing that the failure to appear rates are declining, that all the things that we said were going to happen are happening. But they're also coupled with the need for additional investments into making sure that we are addressing the needs that individuals have, public safety, or individuals who have mental health issues or substance abuse issues. we're making those investments necessary, and that's why you're seeing that decline. Are we where we need to be on crime? Absolutely not.
All right,
But
Senator.
seeing where the declines are happening because we've made the investments necessary to make that happen.
Senator Curran, 2 years out, what's your view? Have these things happened? And the idea, we should mention, was to get rid of cash bail so that being bailed out wasn't based on your income, it was just based on the severity of your crime.
The central tenet of this was exactly that someone, a nonviolent offender with no dangerous background shouldn't be sitting in jail because they couldn't post $100. And the wealthy person shouldn't have been walking out that was a danger to the community. So like that systemic imbalance has been addressed, but there are certainly areas that need further refinement. We have seen in 2023 deaths related to domestic violence around the state are up 110%. So this is an area we definitely got to hone in on. We have been calling on looking at the pretrial release standard with relations to domestic violence incidents and actually flipping the burden and making the accused in those situations actually prove they're not a danger to the victim in that case to be released. So, I think there's a lot of work yet to be done to make this a better system, but certainly the original inequity has been addressed.
All right, Senator Sims, what can be done to address those alarming numbers about domestic crime?
Well, we've certainly worked on and tried to make sure that domestic violence, the individuals who commit those crimes are held. And you are finding across the state, those individuals are being held in custody. The largest segment of the individuals who are being held in custody and detained since the Pretrial Fairness Act has been law are individuals who commit domestic violence or who are accused of domestic violence. And that's why we got to make sure that we're continuing to stay the course. We continue to focus on why this law came about in the first place. Because those individuals, particularly, let's stay with domestic violence for a second. For so long, individuals who were accused of domestic violence were going free under a cash bail system because they had access to the monies necessary to bail themselves out. Under the current system, the no cash system, your wealth is irrelevant.
Right.
Your threat to public safety is what is relevant.
Right.
And that's why people are being held in custody, particularly for domestic violence.
Judges have to be careful in making these calls. Senator Curran, President Trump has made no bones about the fact that he does not support these laws. He wants to withhold money from states like Illinois that have things like the Safety Act. Do you think it should be repealed? Do you think the president has the authority to withhold money?
Paris, there's a lot coming out of Washington, D.C. On a daily basis. It is incumbent upon us as state lawmakers. This is the law of the land. We need to work to further refine it, improve it, to make sure and improve the public safety aspects around it. Judges not having discretion, we need to return more discretion to judges. There are many instances of judges criticizing that they cannot consider in a particular crime whether or not to detain someone because of the law. Prosecutors have the same, complaint at times. So we've got to look at those smaller issues and continue to work on it. It has been an evolving act. It's been amended 3 times. It's a better product than it was originally as it passed. But it is not something that we should just sit back and say we're done. It is something that we need to continue to work to improve the public safety elements around it.
Well, it sounds like you both agree it's a work in progress. Senators John Curran and LG Sims, thanks for this great discussion. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Paris.
And we'll be right back after this.